Welcome students to this week's Spelling Netcast. Before we begin today's lesson, let's make sure that we're prepared. Let's make sure we have all the necessary equipment, items needed to accomplish this task. Let's make sure we have our pencil to write with, scissors to cut with, our glue stick to glue in the heading for this week's sort, our journal to write in, our spelling list, of course, and then the Ziploc bag to store the word chips in when you're done with this activity, so you can do other assignments throughout the week as well and stay organized. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at this week's words. Again, this is sort 55. It is titled I before E except after C, and here are your spelling words for this week. Alright, let's take a moment now and cut out our words. Okay, students, you've had time to cut out your word chips. Now it's time for us to take a moment and help organize ourselves by putting in our heading. So run a strip of glue across your heading. Let's put it at the top. Again, this is sort 55, and we're dealing with I before E except after C. There are going to be a few other examples that we're going to look at where we're going to see the E come before the I, and some instances where the I actually comes before the E. Let's go ahead and get our exemplar set up. Let's go ahead and start with our first one here. And this one's going to be the IE, so write IE. And this was going to equal a sound. Okay, I'm going to talk about that sound in just a second. Alright. Let's go ahead and jot down another exemplar. This one's going to be C, E, I, and that's going to equal, again, a sound. Alright, an E sound. Let's drop down a few lines and pop in our next exemplar, which is EI. And then again, that's going to equal a sound. There's a sound that's going to go with it. And then last but not least, we've got an EI. And this EI is going to equal a sound, and this sound's going to be an A sound. Alright, could be long, could be short. Let's bring in some examples. Alright, let's take a look at our first word, which is thief. Alright, and as you can see, everybody say thief with me, thief. Thief is someone who robs and steals, right? Not a good person, probably. Not one you want to hang around with. Alright, thief is a word that is probably going to fit underneath this exemplar here because we see the I and the E. Alright, so let's write thief. Now let's ask ourselves, as we say it, what vowel sound are we dealing with when we say thief or read thief? Is it long or is it short? Everybody say thief. T-E-E. We hear that long E, don't we? So it's going to be a long E sound. Okay, so the I and the E will take on the long E sound. All right. Let's bring in another one. This one's yield, yield, and it looks like we've got an I and an E. There's no C. Okay, and it's probably not going to make an A sound, and it's not going to be EI, so it's going to fall underneath the word thief, right? Y-I-E, I-E-L-D. And as we say yield, and when we yield, it's kind of like when we're at a roundabout. When we approach a roundabout, what do? We yield. We kind of give caution. We make sure that it's clear, right? We just don't proceed into the intersection. We're a little careful when we yield. It's the same when we're approaching a light. When it turns yellow, what does that let us know? That we need to yield, right? We need to proceed with caution. Okay, but when we say yield, E, we hear that long E sound, don't we? So again, that lets us know that it's gonna fall into that exemplar. Let's bring in another word. Let's see where it's gonna fall. We have the word receive. You guys know what receive means, right? We give, and the opposite of give is receive. We can take something graciously from someone, right? So here we have a CEI. So that's going to fall under this exemplar here. And as I write it, let's make sure it's correct. RECEICI. So there's the C-E-I, C-E-I-V-E. And then let's look at the sound. Let's say it again, receive, re-C-E-E. We hear that E, and it's long, isn't it? It's a long E sound. All right. Let's bring in another one. Wow, this one looks an awful lot like receive. And if we look closely, we have the C-E-I. So it's going to go underneath the same exemplar. D-E-C-E-I-V-E. The word is deceive. When we deceive someone, we kind of trick them, don't we? We're not really telling the truth. We're trying to trick them into believing something or something of that nature. And as we say deceive, we hear that long E sound. D-C-E. There's that long E sound. So it's in the right spot. Okay. Let's bring in another word. This is seize. If you see something, you grab a hold of it. You try to attain it. You try to take control of it, right? All right. And this one is, as we say seize, what sound is it? Is it long or short? Say it with me. Seize. See, it's a long E, isn't it? There we go. Doesn't make the long A sound or the A sound at all. So it's going to go under this exemplar. S-E-I-Z-E. Again, this is kind of a tricky lesson because there's a lot of E-I's. E-I, E-I, E-I. So this one could be a little tricky. So you have to really, really focus on the sounds that it's making. Okay, here we have neither. It's neither this nor that, right? Neither. What sound does it make? Long E. Neither. N-E-I-T-H-E-R. Neither. And again, it makes that long sound, so it would go under the E-I that makes the long E sound. All right, let's bring in a couple more. Here we have the word rain. Rain. Now this rain is not like we've been experiencing the past 2 or 3 days where precipitation is falling from the sky. It's not that type of rain. It's not R-A-I-N. This one's R-E-I-G-N, which means like the time that a king is in power. Right? The king reigned in his kingdom for 20 years or something like that, right? So this type of rain, R-E-I-G-N, what sound does that make? Say it with me. Rain. Long A sound, doesn't it? Ray. You can hear the long A clearly. Very good. All right. Next we have neighbor. Kind of a big word. N. Again, E-I-G-H-B-O-R. And again, we have to go back to asking ourselves, what sound does it make? Is it a long E or a long A? Neighbor, neighbor. We hear that long A, don't we? So it's in the right spot. All right. Okay, students, I'd like you to go ahead and proceed with the rest of the sort. There is, I'll give you a little hint, there is one oddball in this week's list. Again, look closely at the EI, the EI, the EI. Here we have a C that goes with the EI. Look at the sounds. Look at the spelling, and again, this is kind of a tricky one, but you guys can nail it. We expect great things of you. Go ahead and finish the video, and then remember today, Mr. Powell would like you to do on the opposite page a lay and say, and that you're going to write as well. All right, get busy. Okay, students, by now you've had time to finish your the sort on this side, the part that Mr. Powell helped you with, and then I wanted you to do a lay and say again. We do it twice on Mondays to get you guys off to a good start. The vocab video, I'd like you guys to start that Tuesday night. All right, and again, we expect great things of you, a lot of you, and we do this so that we can not only become better spellers, but readers and writers as well. So, all right, get her done, be prepared, and I'll see you soon. Bye.